Welcome to the Comeback Kid Show, episode number 2. Today it's brought to you by Money Magnet Inspirational Clothing. We set the higher standard with the gold standard with your new belief systems and new standards of life that will help you and keep you in a positive mindset, and that life is good. In these struggling times, a lot of people are not seeing the world the way they should be seeing it, but your belief system will have a lot to do with that. Today, I'd like to talk about the Great Resignation. I've talked to a lot of people who are self-employed in construction and office work. They're having a hard time getting people to work. They're busy, but they don't have people available to work. What is going on? I have a couple of questions that I like to put out there to think that maybe there's something at work with respect to the individuals themselves. After COVID, things have changed. People's attitudes have changed. The way they see things has changed. And there's also a level of mistrust. So I'm just wondering if it's got to do with COVID anxiety. Is there such a term as COVID anxiety? I'm not sure, but I have some questions I'm going to put out there. There's about 15 questions. And then at the end of the show, when we publish, we can have you guys reply in the comment section as to giving us your opinion. Are people opting out to the rat race? Have they looked at their jobs and they realize that, this is not all worth it? Because when you look at what we went through for the last 2 years, you start to reevaluate your priorities. Nobody wants to commute to work anymore. Either you drive, or you take the subway, or you take train in, depending on where you live. If you live in the States, or if you live in Canada, that takes time, and that's also a question of money. So really, what else is it? Gas prices are expensive. Nobody wants to drive anymore, especially going into the city. If you're living outside the city and you're about an hour's drive, well, you're looking at probably twice or 3 times the cost of fuel from the time it was pre-COVID to post-COVID. That's a big deal, and somebody has to pay for that. Do people come to the conclusion that time is more valuable than money? How do you replace your time? Money you can always replace, but your time? That's a valuable resource, and I think that's what's happening here. So as much as COVID was a bad thing, there's been a reevaluation of our priorities, and I think people are starting to look at a new level with their belief system. I know for a fact that a lot of people that I know have become more spiritual, whether you're Muslim, or you're Jewish, or you're Christian, or you're a Buddhist. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's all good. And it's really giving people a sense of a deeper foundation into their core belief system. Is it what people would rather work from home? I think there's been a taste that working from home, there's something to be said about that. And really, when you're in the comforts of your own home, you're saving yourself money from having to get dressed, go to the dry cleaners, buying clothes, going to the coffee shop, buying your lunch. That's huge. That could end up another $50-$60 a week, if not more. And that all adds up, considering the price of food, how it's gone up too for a lot of people. Then there's the other more important factor, is the quality of time with your family. There's been a taste where being at home for a period of time was a little bit of a bother. But then, you know what? People started to settle in and say, this is pretty good having dinner with my family every night. Even in the wintertime, there's a level where, you're at home and you start to cook and you start to see things for what they really are. You pay attention to all the little small details that you've kind of overlooked. And really, there's a level of a good level of good feeling to that. And that's what I'm hearing from a lot of people. Could that be it? People have started developing new skills to offset the loss of income from the change. People are going back to basics, like they're learning to do, to cook, to create, to develop, to paint, to cabinetry, to bringing in new skills, whatever it is. They're using that to offset and to pass up their time, but they're using that to offset any kind of income loss to learn something new, and hoping that's going to serve them down the road. The other thing too is they want to be in control of their own environment. I think also when you're in a commute and you're working for somebody else, you're really at the mercy of where you are. You don't have that ability to say, okay, you know what, I'm not really feeling that great today. I'm going to go home, or you know what, I'm not going to make the drive in. I can still work from where I am, but there's more control. When you can control your own environment, you can control, when you want to work out, how you want to eat, how you want to look, how much time you want to put into your work. Even if it's more time, evening time, daytime, it doesn't matter. And you have your family and your kids that are a priority, and that's not a bad thing. The other thing is that, are people starting small businesses? Now, this is a game changer. If you've basically started backing up, and you're part of that great resignation, and you're starting a small business, this is gold. This is part of the gold standard that we're talking about. We need small businesses to be able to sustain and hold the country together. This is where all the money is. If you look at all the previous immigrants that have come in over the last 50, 60, 70 years, everybody, most of them, 90% of them had skills, or they developed new skills, and they went to work for themselves. There was nothing getting in the way. You wanted to be an electrician, you went and apprenticed with somebody for a year, or whatever it was, or 2 years. Then you went to school, got your license, and boom, you went to work probably for yourself. You wanted to be a plumber, the same thing. Nothing held you back. There was none of this regimentation. And these guys ended up being the best tradesmen you could possibly think of. Rough carpenters, finished carpenters, concrete men, bricklayers, you name it. I'm just using the construction trade as one. Roofers. There was no limitations to how far you wanted to take this. And people started hiring guys. People would companies would do the same thing. They would hire young ambitious men and women to go out and do their thing. Even working in the textile industry or the clothing industry, a lot of people opened up their own shops and opened up their own gifts places. That was large, and there was really not a very high level of stress, but really at the end of the day, you were able to control your own environment, and that was big. You were considered wealthy when you had your own small business. The other one is, are people moving out of the country? I heard a lot of the wealthier people are moving out of the country. A lot of other middle-class people are moving out of the country, or they're going. A lot of them have gone to Mexico. Believe it or not, Mexico has got the best bang for your buck on this side of the hemisphere. There are safe neighborhoods there. Every neighborhood's got bad, and every neighborhood's got good. But you've got the weather, you've got the currency that takes you further. The States, some of them have gone to the States. Some of them have gone even as far as Costa Rica, and some of them have gone to Europe. Ones who have had more of the luxury to be able to to kind of spread themselves out even further. That's also been a big deal. The other one would be his lack of pay. Maybe they're not getting paid enough when they were spending all that time considering, unless it was a government job of sorts. But even people working for the government, they've been able to work from home, and a lot of them don't want to go back to their offices. They'd rather stay where they are. The other thing too could be life-work balance. That is a big deal. I think this is all about life-work balance. Lack of trust from senior leaders. I don't know if that's the case. I think most people do get respected. Today we have a much more organized work environment where laws are there to protect everybody. But you might get one or two that might slip past that isn't happy and isn't given the respect that they deserve. And so really, you look at this, it's not overall a bad thing. But I know there's a lot of people out there who do have companies. They're hurting for people to work. And so they've had to really reposition themselves and say, where do I go from here? They're looking at their own evaluation as to having their commitments to the business that they bring in. There's two ways. There's only two ways of really generating income, and that is to sell something, that is to manufacture something, or that is to take something in. I give it credit to people who have had the courage to make these changes. Leave your comments below. I would love to hear from you as to what your thoughts on all these points. There's a lot of talking points here, but there's something to be said. And if you're young, and you've come out of school or you're not sure what to do, get into a trade, get into your own business, start your own business. It's probably the best thing you can do for yourself down the road. Sacrifice. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to fail yourself to success, because that's what most people do. And I take my hat off to you. If you're out of school, university, and college, you're not sure what to do, take the chance, because it's in the chance is where things happen. Again, today's program is brought to you by Money Magnet Inspirational Clothing. We have our website that you can see on here at the bottom. Subscribe to our channel. Everything is designed to inspire people. We've got a whole lot of new products coming online. We'll show it to you down the road. Have yourself a blessed day and keep up the fight.